Yo, welcome into Texans Today. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on the show today, Jalen Pitre. Could the Texans move on from him? And some more Texans draft visits, a loaded show. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Why are we talking Jalen Pitre trade? It's not my idea. Don't shoot the messenger. It's coming from Houston Texans Sports Illustrated. This is what they had to say on a Pitre trade. The Houston Texans have been active this offseason and could continue to retool their roster. 25-year-old safety Jalen Pitre could be the next Texan on the move in a trade. The Texans upgraded their safety position by acquiring CJ Gardner-Johnson and a 2026 sixth-round pick from the Philadelphia Eagles for offensive lineman Kenyon Green and a 2026 fifth-round pick. He goes on to tell you, like, oh, well, yeah, now that they have two safeties, they don't really need Jalen Pitre. And this is the trade that they threw out there for you. And I had to go to a 2026 second-round pick because the Vikings don't have or a second-round pick because the Vikings don't have one in this year's draft. So the trade that they threw out there was this. A second-round pick the Texans get in return. The Vikings get Jalen Pitre and a fifth-round pick this year. Let me know down in the comments, would you make this trade? Give me a yes, give me a no. My answer coming up in just one moment. How about no? No way am I making this trade. I think this idea sucks. I think it's awful. I think, honestly, both sides say no to this trade. I think the Texans go, yeah, why would we do this trade? And the Vikings go, well, I mean, why would we do this trade? I think this is one of those rare lose-lose situations in a trade. I don't think this benefits either side. And I think the whole crux of this issue comes down to one question, and it's, do the Texans feel the need that they are going to have to extend Jalen Pitre this offseason? And will they even extend him after this season? Because next offseason, Jalen Pitre is scheduled to be a free agent. And when you look at the numbers the past 2 years, he had a down 2023 campaign after a great rookie season. But in 2024 and 12 games played, he was on fire. He had a great year going before that season-ending injury, and I know that injuries are a concern with Jalen Pitre, but I don't get how this makes sense for the Texans to move on from him. You're trading away from a player that fits your scheme because, you know, a lot of the times I know you have the two safeties in the back, CJ Gardner-Johnson and Kalen Bullock, but more often than not this past year, the Texans were running sets with 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs, with Jalen Pitre being that nickel star role. He's fitting your scheme. He's on a cheap deal, and he could possibly sign a team-friendly extension, a team-friendlier contract moving forward. We saw Eric Murray get a ton of money from the Jacksonville Jaguars this offseason. What if I told you you could get Jalen Pitre at a cheaper contract than that? And whenever he was healthy, he was playing much better than Eric Murray did this past year. And maybe it's my bias. Maybe it's because I really like Jalen Pitre, and I've been a fan of his ever since the Texans drafted him out of Baylor. But I want to keep Pitre in H-Town. I think he fits not only the scheme, he also fits the culture of this locker room. He's a hard worker, great guy on and off the field. I would love if the Texans went ahead and extended Jalen Pitre. I think it is an awful move to try to move on from him because I think with the 3 safeties you have, Kalen Bullock, CJ Gardner-Johnson, and then Jalen Pitre playing that star nickel role, this Texans secondary is set for the foreseeable future. So in my opinion, I think this idea is absolute horse crap. I would not do it whatsoever. I want to keep Jalen Pitre in H-Town. Now, coming up in just a moment, some Texans draft visits and some more rumors around the NFL draft. Who are D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio having a little bit of an extra look at? I'll tell you who that is in just a moment. But if you haven't already gotten a Texans jersey, well, what's stopping you? Our friends over at Fanatics have you covered with almost every single size, color available, whatever jersey you want. I know the candy red CJ Strouds, they go crazy. If you want the H-Town alternates in the Will Anderson Jr., if you want my guy Jalen Pitre to stay in Houston, get his jersey. Do that at chatsports.com/Texans jerseys. All those links will be available for you in the comment section and description of today's video. Go check them out today. If you use this link, it sends you straight to the Fanatics website, and it lets them know that we sent you over there. So go check them out today, chatsports.com/Texans jerseys, if you're looking to get a brand new jersey. So had to give some shout outs to some really good follows on X. If you're not following Jacob already, he does a lot of good content over there on X. And he went ahead and mentioned, actually, this was yesterday, one of my other good buddies, Joe Hoyt, who works up here in Dallas. The Texans have a top 30 visit scheduled with SMU wide receiver running back Brashard Smith. He ran a 4.39 40 at the combine and is arguably, I agree, one of the most explosive players in this draft class. This past season at SMU, I know he's a smaller stature, 5'9", 5'10", but really stout, almost 200 pounds. Had over 1,300 yards this year, 14 touchdowns on the ground for Mr. Smith. And before this season, he was actually a wide receiver at the University of Miami, where he put up okay numbers there, but after moving to running back, he had just an explosive year for the Mustangs at SMU. A good rushing and receiving back, a good third down back that I think could pair really well with a guy like a Joe Mixon, who you want him to be your bell cow back, but every so often maybe rotate Brashard Smith in for third down for certain situations, maybe second and long situations as well. So I want you to go down in the comment section. I think most Texans fans want this team to draft at least one running back in this year's class. I know a lot of us like Dameon Pierce. We obviously like Joe Mixon as well, but I think there's room for another running back in that running back room. So go down in the comment section right now. Name a running back in this year's draft you think the Texans should select, which we're actually going to talk about another running back here, Cullen, in just a moment. But first, let's go into a series of when Jeremy was right, because my guy Patrick, another good follow on X, DeMeco Ryans was in attendance for Boston College Pro Day yesterday. Things that make you go, It's almost like I called it in my video the other day, talking about the new Texans draft plan after they signed free agents Cam Robinson and Trent Brown, that they would go after a certain Boston College tackle. And DeMeco Ryans seems like he wanted a closer look at somebody. I don't know, maybe an Ozzie Trapillo, the tackle that I mentioned in that video. If you want to see that video, it's still on the channel. New draft plan. That was the thumbnail. And, he's just such a Texan. I feel like he could possibly slide into the third round, but I could totally see the Texans taking a guy like this. The ties run deep, right? Bill O'Brien's the head coach at Boston College. He's been working with former Patriots offensive line coach Dante Scarnecchia, who is a huge mentor for new OC Nick Caley and new O-line coach Cole Popovich. All these different webs kind of move together with this move of drafting Ozzie Trapillo. I think DeMeco Ryans showing up in person at the Boston College Pro Day should show you a lot at this. And then talking about Pro Days, him and Nick Caserio were also at the University of Texas Pro Day today. Credit to @Corey_Mose on X for this photo right here of Nick Caserio and DeMeco Ryans at this Pro Day. And they were probably there to see Kelvin Banks, Matthew Golden as well, Andrew Makuba, the safety. That's another person they could be looking at. They could also be looking at Isaiah Bond, the wide receiver. And it has been confirmed that the Texans are meeting with Jaden Blue, the running back who ran in the 4.2s at this Texas Pro Day, is a very speedy back out of the University of Texas. Another mid-round option for this team. I could 100% see the Texans taking a running back in either round 4 or round 5. Jaden Blue could be an option in round 5 for your Houston Texans, and the Texans are meeting with him along with Brashard Smith. So that's all I have for you on today's video, folks. If you want to give me a follow at Jeremy Chuggs on Twitter, my DMs are always open if you want to talk shop, talk ball. Also, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We made it all the way to the end of the video. What's stopping you? It's 100% free. My promise to you, hit that sub button. If you don't like it in a week, you can unsubscribe. But give me 1 week to prove to you why this is the #1 Texans channel here on YouTube, and we don't miss a beat. Never here on the channel. So go down, hit that sub button for 100% free content around your Houston Texans.